First off, I've never posted on Reddit before, but I'll try to make this easy to read. For privacy, I'll refer to my wife as Sarah. I'm not 100% sure if this story would be a cuckold story or a cheating story. Honestly, it's a little bit of both. It starts off with us as boyfriend and girlfriend before we were married. I introduced Sarah to the cuckold lifestyle by asking if she would ever be interested in sleeping with other men. She rejected it pretty hard at first and didn't like the idea. I made it clear that I wasn't interested in having sex with other women. I just wanted to have sex with her. Before Sarah and I started dating, she had been with quite a few guys. I asked her in the past who she slept with to see if I knew anyone, and if they were good at sex or bad. A couple of days after I asked her about the cuckold lifestyle, I started bringing up the names of guys she enjoyed sleeping with when we were having sex. She played along with it at first, but after we finished, she hated me talking about it. However, every time we had sex, I would bring up the idea, trying to get her to think about sleeping with them again. Sarah has a great body and can definitely be a tease. After doing this about 30-40 times, I started getting on her phone and liking pictures of other guys on Facebook, especially the ones who sometimes texted her when they were drunk. This went on for about 3 months of sex, and me liking some random guys' pictures on Facebook. Around 5 months later, I picked up her phone one night, while she was drunk and was going through her messages. I saw some flirty and sexual texts with a couple of different guys. At first, I was kind of annoyed because this whole lifestyle isn't supposed to be a behind-my-back thing. I confronted her about it the next day, and she was mad I went through her phone. Both of our frustrations died down, but I also thought this was a good step in the right direction. I started doing more to push her into that lifestyle. I stopped having sex with her the way she liked and became more submissive, which I knew she didn't like. This is what I think pushed her over the edge. I also stopped hanging out with her around the house. We lived together while dating. Another month passed, and I picked up her phone again. She was still texting this guy very sexually. At this point, I was uncomfortable with it and told her to stop. She said she would, but rarely did. She would snap him and send half-naked nudes. Their flirting continued for 5 months until one night, she was drunk and let it slip to her friends that she had been having sex with this guy on the side. Her friends never knew about my fetish or anything like that. She told me the next day that she had been sleeping with him. When she apologized, I knew I had 2 ways to approach it. I could tell her it wasn't her fault and that I liked it, or I could get mad and throw the cuckold lifestyle out the window. I chose option 1. I told her it was okay and that I liked it. I admitted I didn't like not knowing, but it was okay if it continued as long as I knew about it. This actually worked out for about 3 months. She would tell me when she went to sleep with this guy or suck him off, then come home and tell me about it. This was all going well until she started getting feelings for him, and he had strong feelings for her. She kept telling me she didn't know what she wanted while continuing to sleep with him on the side. This continued until the guy she was sleeping with got a girlfriend, which probably saved our relationship. Fast forward about a year. During the past year, she was still flirty with guys at bars and sent some thirst traps that I had approved. We also got married. It seemed like the actual physical cuckolding died down and was just teases. At this point, I kind of wanted to push it and try the physical cuckolding side again, but didn't want to push too hard because I almost lost her once. However, since we were married, I thought I could probably push it more. So we started getting back into it, and she was also getting more into it. She would call me by the name of the person she wanted to sleep with when we had sex. She started flirting with more guys at bars and on social media. Even when I wasn't in the mood for her to flirt, she would take my dick out and get me in the mood to convince me to let her. This escalated, and I started liking pics of this one guy on her Facebook. They ended up going to dinner together. Sarah said her friend would be there too, but it turned out her friend never went, and they flirted heavily. Sarah texted me and asked if she could sleep with him that night, and they did. I knew the guy too, so it was awkward seeing him around town. He never knew that I knew, but just the fact that he knew he slept with my wife was a little degrading. They only had sex once, but Sarah was now all in on this cuckold lifestyle. She would snap multiple guys' nudes and started to like being dominant in the bedroom, telling me who she was going to sleep with next. This got out of hand when she started flirting heavily with a guy I truly didn't like. I told her not to do anything with him or even text him. She knew how to get into a guy's mind. We would have sex, and she would get into my head, calling me his name and snapping him pictures of her waist up while I was eating her out. This is when I slowly started getting turned off by the idea of cuckolding. This whole lifestyle lasted probably 4 years before I had an ounce of regret. I begged her not to do anything with him and voiced my opinion a few times, but she didn't care. Luckily, they never had sex because he lived 3 hours from us. However, they flirted so much that Sarah and I took a break during our marriage. She had developed feelings for this guy. We stopped sleeping together and having sex and basically paused our marriage. To make things worse, she initiated the break. I was holding on by a thread. It was a terrible month of a break with lots of therapy sessions. I finally put my foot down and started sleeping with her again and trying to hang out with her during our break, as my therapist advised. She didn't like it and kind of shoved it in my face by FaceTiming this guy in bed while I was sleeping next to her. That break in our marriage was about 3 years ago. I'm not 100% sure what made her come around, but she eventually did. She stopped all communications with that guy in the last week of our break. She apologized sincerely, and we did a lot of couples therapy to work through everything. We haven't had any talk or desire for cuckolding for 3 years. It is a bit odd, though. Sarah is still dominant in bed, and I've learned to like that, but nothing cuckold-related. However, a couple of nights ago, we were both very high and drunk, and we started having sex, and something triggered in my head to maybe push for cuckolding again. So I started talking dirty to her like I used to, and she started doing it back. I think it has something to do with her being dominant now, which is bringing out my submissive tendencies. She said things like, "I bet deep down you still want me to sleep with other guys." Or, "God, you're pathetic. I need a man who can fuck me better." When we both came, we said we wouldn't go down that road again, so I guess we'll see. You'd think I would have learned my lesson. Lol. Someone please tell me not to go down that road again.